This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carranante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carranante. Some Tuesday, Friday action this week. Did that confuse you, astound you? Are you okay? We're here. We're back. We waited till Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman spoke yesterday. Yankees bingo. Yankees end of season bingo. Another press conference about a season that did not end in a World Series championship or a ticker tape parade. When both men were pressed on their solution to the problems presented to the Yankees, they basically said, that's life. Surprise surgery. We got one of those. We got explanation of a surgery we knew about, and then a total shocker. The Yankees will not be full strength for the start of next season, but you knew that already. Better to get out of the way on Thursday, October 16th, rather than Tuesday, March 12th. And by the way, there will be injuries in spring training also. So there's that. Disagreements between Boone and Cashman, hints about future free agency departures. We got it all. We're here to talk about it. The Yankees ruined Anthony Volpe. Again, after Anthony Volpe spent a couple of years ruining himself, you got to give both parties a little bit of blame for what happened here. The pitcher the Yankees will be without, how they should solve that, whether they should really step into the Tarek Skubal market, and comment if you've got questions. We are happy to answer them. Thomas Carranante, welcome to the show. Another tiresome presser, and I had some fans reach out to me and say this could have been an email. I disagree. I thought the Volpe stuff was enlightening, and especially the fact that they had different answers. This was if you're looking for like a 6-part solution to the Yankees problems, then no, this was not a helpful press conference. But if you're looking for something slightly beyond the, we tried, I feel like this actually did deliver.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. It is what it is. I never feel any which way when these happen, just because I felt for a while that there's just a lack of care to an extent. I understand these people have jobs and they love what they do and they want to win, but we got more of the same with, playoffs are a crapshoot. You put the best roster together and you hope the chips fall in place. And yes, part of that is true. We've seen the Rangers and Diamondbacks in the last couple of years go on a World Series run. We saw the 2019 Nationals go on a World Series run. We saw the Rays almost go to the World Series. They did go to the World Series in 2020.
Yeah.
So there is that element to it, but the Yankees the Yankees to me still don't understand that they are of the few teams that are impervious to that. They have the money. You're looking at the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers have run into a lot of teams over the last couple of years that completely crap their pants in the playoffs. It is what it is, but they built a team that is so fearsome that teams do crap their pants. The Padres last year crap their pants. The Yankees in the World Series crap their pants. The Reds weren't competition. The Phillies crap their pants. Phillies are a great team, but they crap their pants. We watch it happen. The Brewers, 3 runs in 3 games. All of a sudden not hitting. All of a sudden making defensive lapses. So there's something to be said about that. And a lot of, again, what we deal with on the year-to-year basis with the Yankees are the holes, are the same questions with the injuries. We'll talk plenty about injuries today. Why is this still happening to a greater magnitude with 2 players that the organization deems important? Why is Brian Cashman trying to downplay Aaron Judge's prime? Why is Brian Cashman saying that the season had both successes and failures? That's every team season. Every team season has successes and failures. Mm-hmm. Unless you're the White Sox and you only had failures, or you're the Rockies and you only had failures, or unless you win the World Series. Then it was just full of successes and you enjoyed your life. But that's only 2 or 3 teams every year. So, look, we got useful information, I think. I am just not like, this next year has to be the last year of these 2 guys, Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman. That's where I'm at. I'm not getting my pitchforks out. I'm not screaming in anybody's face. I'm not looking forward to Brian Cashman melting down in a few weeks at the GM meetings. But I will say, like, this has all run its course. This was, to me, the most low-energy end-of-season presser that they've had thus far. I think it lacked emotion for the most part. Like, at least in Aaron Boone, I feel, is usually the guy who's upset Like he's upset. He loves his players. He works hard. I don't think anybody's ever denying that. But this time around, it was just blah to me. I don't know. Maybe that's me being harsh. Maybe I'm dejected from everything that's happened. But this tandem can't go on much longer than one more season. And I think that the marker is after next season because of the contract situations and because of the available free agents. So I don't know. I don't really know where to start, but this is it. I'd rather review the Taylor Swift album if we want to do that for an hour.
Yeah, Opalite's growing on me. The Ophelia is a solid song. I still think the album's not very good, but it's a little better than I thought it was like a week ago. I do agree, and people will throw out, and Chris Kirshner said this in his AMA today on Reddit, that if they get rid of Cashman and Boone, people who are within the building will replace Cashman, and people with similar philosophies to Boone will replace Boone. But I don't think that's an argument not to do it. Like, I don't think they do make the playoffs every year. Brian Cashman has had his moments. He has had his masterstrokes. He had a good year overall, but he's been at this for decades with one World Series post-dynasty, and he didn't really build the dynasty, certainly not the core, and other folks shaped the 96 team, and he inherited the 98 team, and certain things he gets claim responsibility for. Trading Wells for Clemens, I'll give that one to Brian Cashman, but it was a melange, and then since that dynasty core left, he has built one other title winner. I don't think he's like an historically bad GM. I think he's going to the Hall of Fame, and I think he probably deserves to go to the Hall of Fame if you look at the other people in the Hall of Fame. Like Pat Gillick and Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman's had an outsized impact on the game of baseball. But whether you like him or hate him, you have to agree that his time has passed him by. And if someone philosophically similar to him enters, but that person isn't someone who the other GMs have 25 years of exasperation from dealing with, and other, agents across the league aren't like, oh, I am so tired of talking to Brian Cashman. That's an incredibly long tenure as a GM. I don't care if he hands the reins to somebody who has similar vibes or thoughts or motivations. I think this is the final year. And Aaron Boone, same. I don't think Aaron Boone's a bad manager. I think someone with Aaron Boone's temperament and slightly better feel for the game would be an excellent manager. So if someone comes from Aaron Boone's mold, but is just a little bit better at communication and in-game stuff than Aaron Boone, great. And also, even if the person is very similar to Boone and green at first, you could get a bump from a new voice entering. I'm even excited to see who the new first base coach is. Is a first base coach going to change everything? Absolutely not. But it's good to get new blood in there. It's good to get a new bullpen coach, Mike Harkey. 16 years of great service. Appreciate it. But time for a change. Slightly rearranged deck chairs on the Titanic-y, but it can't hurt to get a new voice, even if the new voice is philosophically similar to the old one, because the old one's just been here forever. And we'll talk about the injuries and the ways that the Yankees plan has already been knocked off its block. But the reality is, you mentioned it, and this may be a hot take, there's not that much work to do, and there's also not that much work I want the Yankees to do with this free agent market and with their needs. Mm-hmm. Like, Tarek Skubal shows up on the market and you have a chance to outbid the Red Sox, Dodgers, and Mets. You should try to do that. You should get Tarek Skubal on your team. Ditto Joe Ryan. If you can add a number 2 or a co-ace, go with the pitching super team. Like, this is where modern Yankee fans don't feel the way Yankee fans from 20 years ago felt. Those Yankees didn't stop. If there was an opportunity to better themselves by adding another superstar, they did it. And that's what the Dodgers have done. Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Oh my, Shohei Ohtani in the rotation. How do we get here? Oh my God, this is so annoying. Because they just kept adding. They didn't need Blake Snell this offseason.
And other teams let them add. That was the other thing. Like, everyone's getting mad at the Dodgers, and it's like the Red Sox let them do this. The Yankees let them do this with Blake Snell. So,
yeah.
Yankees
but other teams stop, right? Other teams look at the coming off the World Series. They're like, what do we need? We got to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez. That's like us bringing Belly back this year. What else do we need? We could use an outfield bat. We'll go get Michael Conforto. Most teams coming off the World Series wouldn't be like, let's just get the best pitcher on the market. How about that? We don't need that. Like, we have a playoff rotation, but wouldn't it help if we added the best pitcher on the market? Yeah. Does he want to play here? He does. Okay, great. Let's pay for him. That's what the Dodgers do. It's what the Yankees used to do. And if Tarek Skubal hits the market, no, the rotation is not the Yankees' weakness. But if the Tigers want to engage, and I've already seen a lot of tweets about how the Yankees are going to get outbid by teams with superior farm systems, the Tigers have Max Clark and Kevin McGonigal. McGonigal in the infield, Bryce Rayner last year, their shortstop, first-round pick, Briseño and Tyron Lorenzo. Their top prospects are position players. The Yankees' top prospects and young, big league ready major leaguers are pitchers. So the Yankees, it depends on how the Tigers view the Yankees pitching atop the system. They'd probably have to include Spencer Jones. They might have to include Lombard, but the Tigers don't really have a need for. If the Tigers ask, I'll give him to you, but the Tigers don't really have a need for him. But what they do have a need for is LaGrange, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, Ben Hess, Cam Schlittler. Painful, but like if they ask, you got to talk about it. Like, yeah, the Yankees do have this top of the rotation, impressive stuff, collection of minor league pitchers. You want to package 3 or 4 of those guys together and Spencer Jones contingent on a Skubal extension? Be my guest. I would do that. That's what a scary team does. That's what the Yankees used to do.
It would be nice. And it is funny how everyone, the back to the Dodgers ruining baseball conversation, it's like the payroll versus revenue figures came out, and the Yankees invest under 50% of their revenue back into their payroll. And I know every team can't do that, like invest heavily, but the Dodgers invested 73%. And that's probably the difference. And you want to talk about capitalizing on other teams' malfeasance, like I just mentioned it. Mookie Betts came on the market. Dodgers said, great, we'll take you. We'll extend you. Freddie Freeman came on the market. Braves disrespected him. Dodgers said, great, what do you want? We'll make it work. Yankees were passive there. Blake Snell this offseason. I don't think Ohtani and Yamamoto are legitimate arguments. They telegraphed their intentions. They wanted to be with the Dodgers. There was nothing I think any other team could do.
Yeah.
But they went and traded for Glasnow when the Rays didn't want to pay the money anymore, and the Rays knew that they were changing their outlook for the next few years. So if the Yankees were anywhere close to aggressive on any of those fronts, and you look at who the Yankees have chosen, and I'm not critical of these moves to an extent where it's like they didn't do anything to improve this team, but like they went after Carlos Rodon, and I understand Rodon is largely fine, but like that's a guy who had no postseason experience, who had a giant history. Look, we like the signing. I still like the signing. I have to die with it because I lobbied for it.
I did too.
But the Yankees stopped there. And I know that it was in terms of I'm talking about 2024. 2024 is really where my gripes are, because they had the opportunity to sign Blake Snell. They didn't want to go with all that money at that time. And then they capped their offer on what they were going to give him. And then he signed the 1-year deal with the Giants. So if they went up 25, 30 more million, would they have had Blake Snell?
Yeah, let me get the Brian Hoke tweet. Twitter's asked me to upgrade to premium. No, I don't want to do that.
Oh, do it, yeah.
The Hoke, yeah, I think I'm going to do that right now. Sorry, I'm going to take a break. There was a Hoke tweet that said essentially, they can't pay both. Oh, yeah, okay. December 9th, 2024. Great day. Never forget it. Yankees had Brian Cashman said the Yankees had a Zoom call with Blake Snell. Then we're told things were, quote, moving fast. Mm-hmm. The Yankees declined to make an offer, saying they couldn't sign both Snell and Juan Soto. By the next morning, Snell was a Dodger. They didn't sign Juan Soto, so they couldn't actually sign either of them. They didn't sign either of those people. So they picked between two people, neither of whom came to the Yankees.
Yeah, and if you go even back further, they offered him before 2024 $150 million, reportedly. And Snell said no, and the Yankees said, "Great, we're not offering any more than that." And then he went to the Giants for the 1 year for $30 million, and then he got $182 million from the Dodgers. So I don't know what the negotiations look like, but it's clear if you went Snell at that point for however much, then you're not overpaying for Max Fried at that point, and then maybe the Red Sox sign Max Fried instead of trading for Garrett Crochet. So like there's a ripple effect with all of this, and then you want to talk about the trade deadline in 2024 when it was obvious the Yankees had problems, and I thought that deadline was okay. They got Jazz, but they didn't upgrade the bullpen, and they didn't really improve their defense because getting Jazz only mattered to an extent because they couldn't move Glaber and Jazz around. So they put they stuck with Verdugo. So you look at like the Dodgers get rid of Michael Conforto, who they invested $17 million in right before the postseason, and they're better off for it. The Yankees, who invested essentially nothing in Alex Verdugo, and we're paying him $8 million, died on that hill and then died in the World Series. So the Dodgers are, sure, you want to have a different podcast conversation about how the Dodgers are running baseball because they have a multitude of millionaire, billionaire owners. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Hal Steinbrenner running the show by himself versus, 7 millionaire billionaires all getting to chip in at once and take their pick at their guys. Yes, that is different. But at the same time, you look at the payroll disparity, like the Yankees could go a little bit more over the tax if they really wanted to. They opt not to. The Yankees could trade more of their top prospects if they really wanted to for major league talent. They usually don't because they don't like to get burned and they don't want to feel like they're over leveraging themselves. So and that's really where it all comes from. Like you even look at a team like the Rangers from 2022 to 2023. They just went and they invested in all of the guys that they wanted. They won a World Series. Does that always work out? Absolutely not. It doesn't, but like it worked out for them. And I think the Yankees are smarter than a team like the Rangers. That's no shade to the Rangers. I think the Yankees just have decades and decades and decades of highly professional experience in their front office. So I don't know. This is where it gets confusing because it's like, don't we have all these resources at our disposal? Don't we have the ability to be cutthroat when we want to? Don't we have the ability to right wrongs with a few extra bucks or with a couple of extra young players? And it just feels like there's always a cap. There's always a threshold. And you're going to see it this offseason too. People are saying, oh, what if the payroll is probably going to hover around 300? If the payroll hovers around 300, they're not going anywhere. They're just not because they have too much committed to the payroll now. And if they are not going to be able to add via trade because they're going to be competing with other teams with better farm systems, or they're not going to go after whatever top free agents there might be if you're interested in them. I'm just talking theoretically. They're not going to get better because they're going to be losing more talent. So this is where, Brian Cashman claims he's going to exercise every avenue, but like, again, what does that look like? Does that look like making a quick splash early and then not doing anything? Kind of like what they did last year. They signed Max Fried and they hung around for a bit. And, I know they ended up getting Bellinger, but that was a foregone conclusion for weeks. And then they got like some of the other personnel decisions. Was it foresight? Did they get lucky? I don't know. Trent Grisham had a career year. Did they see that coming? I doubt it. Cam Schlittler emerging the way that he did. Is that a credit to the developmental system? Absolutely. Did they see that coming? No, they didn't. They would have been in big trouble if he didn't come up. So that's it. Like they have the capability to do what in theory the Dodgers are doing. I'm not saying invest 75% of your payroll right now, but like 49%, dude, that's got to go up to 60 if you want to be serious. And I just don't feel like they're that serious. It feels like it's I saw a tweet. It was a good tweet. It was the Yankees are selling nostalgia as their brand, and the Dodgers are selling a dynasty. And there's ebbs and flows to that because the Dodgers in 10 years might be fucked. Like we might be having we could be dead in 10 years, but the world could end in 10 years. But in 10 years, we might be talking about how the Dodgers are fucked because they deferred all this money. But it could get them 2 World Series in 2 years and 3 in the last 5, and that's really all you need. It defines an era. Yeah. As for where the Yankees go next, I don't know.
Life's good for them, and the Yankees make a ton of revenue, so 60% is not too much to ask. You look at the Mets spending 90% of their revenue. The Mets don't make anything, but they spend it all.
They probably lost money. It was only $44 million in profit. That's definitely going to the rest of the operating costs.
Yeah, and this year's free agency class, again, just not the area to splurge. That's if you want Kyle Tucker, fine, but Alex Bregman's not walking through that door. Bo Bichette's probably not walking through that door. That's why it's the trade market and you're hamstrung. You got to give up your top prospects to get, and you probably have to sign Bellinger or Kyle Tucker. Both could be fun, but they're not going to do it. Yeah. Aaron Boone said, we called it out on the previous podcast. He said it out loud yesterday. Quote, I don't know. The reality is we've had a really good club in certain years, probably one of the best clubs in the league. All I know is it's time to dust ourselves off and then try to build another club that puts us in position to take a run again. In certain years, and probably one of the best. He just said it. There have been years under Boone when they have probably been one of the best teams in baseball. There have been years when they were probably not one of the best teams in baseball. There have been 0 years where they were definitely the best team in baseball. It's hard. It's hard to do that. As the Yankees, with a brand like this, once in almost a decade, it's not too much to ask for 1 year in almost a decade where you are the best team in baseball. And you might lose the World Series, and you might lose the ALCS, you might get upset. But you can look at the end of the day and go, what happened? We were the best team in baseball. How did that fall apart? like this year's Brewers. The Yankees have never had a season where they were the best team in baseball under Aaron Boone. They've had seasons where they were one of the best, probably. 2019, they were one of the best. They lost to a better team, the Astros. 2022, they were the best for the first half. Then they lost to a better team, the Astros. 2018, they were definitely the second or third best team in the league, but they lost to the Red Sox, who were better than they were. So still waiting. And look, the least you can hope for is if there's this organizational philosophy that's not going to work, the least you can hope for is for them to be unified on it. But you got Boone and Brian Cashman saying opposite things about Anthony Volpe yesterday.
What is this?
And look, okay, so his surgery that we all knew he was going to have once his shoulder popped in early. If we didn't know it in early May, we knew it by the time they shut him down for cortisone shots and acknowledged that he had a shoulder problem. And everyone their beat writers started writing, he's on a wrap on that shoulder all year. Yes, okay, very helpful. His surgery will knock him out as an MLB option until mid-April or May. They gave us the timeline yesterday. Can't swing a bat for 4 months. Can't dive for 6 months. You need to dive to play Major League shortstop. The damage is more extensive than they thought. Editor's note, frickin' duh. And so much of what we lost, look, Anthony Volpe, I'm not going to break new ground here, not a perfect player, right? Not a guy who's shown us that he's a Major League regular, let alone an above-average player or a star or an all-star. But his best month of his career was April, March 2025. Mm-hmm. He had a 784 OPS. Like, he was getting closer. He's in 237 with an OPS near 800. The torpedo bat Volpe. And from that point, he tore his shoulder up, played through it, making poor swing decisions, flailing, less strength than he should have, clearly affected. Can't say it was determinative of his poor season that he had an injury, but clearly affected. And you look at the stuff that makes no sense, like his range factor going down and him getting more tentative in the infield. It either makes no sense at all and comes from nothing, or it comes from harboring an injury, being anxious about what you are and aren't able to do on the field. Like range, if you know you can't dive without popping your shoulder out, your range is going to suffer because you're going to be tentative. Like it makes sense. And then the Yankees turn him into this ultimate villain, playing him through this injury. And Aaron Boone defending him like, I don't think it's affecting him at all. And so the rest of the world is like, okay, so your player just sucks. Got it. There's an excuse there for you. You can take it, but you don't take it. They don't take it all year. And then at the end of the year, when they shut him down, start moving Jose Caballero, and you think they're going to take the excuse, they don't. They bring Volpe back as a starter, and he has a great first round of the playoffs against the Red Sox. Great, sneaking 87-mile-an-hour singles through the hole. But he was fine. He homered off Garrett Crochet. Second round, worse than ever. Clearly, the cortisone shot wears off. Yesterday, Aaron Boone, who's supposed to be the protecting his players guy, said once again he didn't think it worsened or affected him. Said he regrets obviously that it was a bad situation, but he doesn't regret doing what he did. And then Brian Cashman says he needed surgery, which wasn't on the table at a point in the season. So obviously it was worse than we thought, and it probably did affect him. So the protecting his players answer is the Cashman answer. The answer of, okay, so it actually was worse than we thought. A lot of what you saw maybe was something that didn't show up on the MRI, and he needs surgery. So hand up, we made a mistake. We didn't think he would, and he did. The Boone answer was, it's got to be the same. By the way, you can't differ. You can't have different answers between the front office and the manager. Maybe they were trying to prove a point that the manager doesn't dictate, get what he does dictated to him by the front office by being completely in opposite directions on the Volpe thing. But you have to be aligned here. And Boone gave the answer that protected Volpe less because he said, I would do it again. I don't think it affected him all that much. And if it didn't affect him all that much, then he's just not serviceable, not workable. So I was stunned that they could not come to an alignment on this.
I don't understand.
I don't
Is it a symptom of bad communication in the organization? Is it a symptom of Aaron Boone trying? Like, I don't think Aaron Boone was necessarily throwing Volpe under the bus, but I think he was saying, no, he said he was good to go, and we believed he was good to go. So, like, we can't really say that his play was affected by it.
And Cashman said this too, like, if a player isn't complaining and it's not showing up in the MRI, then you can't forcibly bench them. Sure, but if the performance is that bad, you can. It doesn't have to be injury related. He gave you enough to just take him off the field anyway.
Correct, and that's where the Well, the other thing that I don't understand about any of this was literally a month ago. It was September 12th. I have the Hope tweet. Brian Cashman was asked if Anthony Volpe would need surgery in the offseason, and he said, As of right now, no. That could change based on imaging, but right now there are no indications of that being the case. So a month ago, so he got injured on May 3rd.
Yeah.
He played all of May, because remember, that's a full month. May 3rd, you're playing the whole month.
Never took a day off.
He got 1 day off before the All-Star break. One. And it was the day after he got injured, and he finished the game that he got injured in. So he played all of May, all of June, all of July, all of August, and half of September. And they said nothing was wrong. Had to get 2 cortisone shots over that span or 3 cortisone shots over that span, but nothing was wrong imaging-wise. So you're telling me that he played May, June, July, August, half of September. So he played 4.5 months on the injury, and at that point, nothing was revealed to you that he needed surgery. And then less than a month later, he gets surgery with the season ends and he gets surgery 5 days later.
Yeah.
And you're telling me there was no need. It just, again, it's a lie, or we're dealing with the craziest like turn of events in regards to like injury situations that this team has. Because I don't know how they could say at any point, like they couldn't even suggest, Boone couldn't even suggest, the injury was there, so maybe it played a role, maybe it didn't. Like I would probably guess that it would, because he struggled in a way that we didn't expect, so maybe that was part of it. But then again, it's always how fast how the narratives turn. Like, to tell me a month ago that there's no indication he needs surgery, and then you don't wait even a week since the time you're eliminated. Volpe, the day they were eliminated, said, they asked him, are you going to need surgery? And he goes, haven't really thought about that. I planned on playing baseball for this entire month and then making a decision based on that at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't, maybe that was true. I literally don't know. But again, the optics are the optics. He has to undergo surgery. He cannot swing for 4 months. He cannot dive for 6 months. In my opinion, and in famously your opinion, because you wrote about this, they ruined his development. I don't know if there's much of a leg that they can stand on with that, because you go back to the day Anthony Volpe debuted, played in 160 out of 162 games his first season. Aaron Boone admits after that year he suffered a little bit because of the workload, and he wasn't expected. He wasn't used to playing that much, and it was the first time he played in over like 115 or 20 games in his career. So he gets forget about like going up to 160. He was struggling well before that. So the fact that they didn't catch on any of those, or the fact that they ignored straight up those warning signs and let him continue playing, is malpractice. Same thing happens in year 2. He plays 159 games. It was one or the other. First year was 160. Second year was 159. Flip him, whatever. They don't rest him at all in year 2. And then year 3 comes. He has a great April. Everybody's excited. We were excited.
Yeah.
I remember that vividly, because I said, holy shit, if this is it. Just have him be competent. Have him bat 250 with a 720 OPS, and we are good. Like, we are good. And fielding, just keep the status quo. I don't need a gold glove, just no stupid errors. And then all of it falls apart after this injury, and they still don't address. They addressed it once, and it was in the middle of September after he had gotten the second or third cortisone shot, and the team seemed to be better by mixing him and Caballero in. And then at the end of the year, they just go right back to Volpe, and then they let him strike out 12 of 15 times to end the season, and they don't take him out in any of the games except for the bullshit at bat for Jason Dominguez at the end of Game 4 when they were already dead to rights. Now he's going to miss the beginning of next year. My bet is that he's not ready till June. I don't know how you lose an entire offseason like that and then not have a spring training. And then, like, what is he going to do? He's going to have to play in AAA for 3 weeks to start the year. And then he's not going to be fully, or he's going to have to start just at the developmental complex for the first month. Then he's going to have to go play at AAA for 2 to 3 weeks. Then he's going to have to get worked back into the line. Like, this is a long, long process. And he's not going to get a full. So the options were, I guess, obviously, maybe he needed surgery in May and he would have missed the whole year. Is that possible? I don't know. That would have sucked. But guess what? he would have been fresh and ready to go for this year. Now, instead, you let his play cascade the worst it's ever been. Again, the worst it's ever been. You look at the numbers and you can probably, decent power numbers here. On base was a little bit higher here. Average, it doesn't matter. If you lump them all together, it's an 85 OPS hitter with a 220 average and a 660 OPS. It's all bad, no matter how you split it. So they let the play continue on that front. So this year is essentially a lost year. And now the beginning of next year is going to be a lost year. And I don't know how you're expecting him to get his true sea legs under him, as Brian Cashman would say, after coming off major shoulder surgery that has you immobile for almost half the year. So effectively, we could predict right now his development is ruined. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
They also turned him into a villain this year. If he gets the surgery in May, he's just a guy who struggled in years 1 and 2. He's not like the devil, the way that some Yankee fans treated him this year, because the WAR got cut in half because the defense went to shit. Like in the last couple of years, he was a Gold Glove shortstop whose bat was lagging behind. This year, he was a 0 from the point of the injury forward. You check his Savant pages, like you see it. It's under the hood, above the hood. It's all bad. No matter where you are located on the hood, it's stuck. They say his chase percentile, he's in the 76th percentile for chase percentage. I don't know how that's possible because all he did was chase low and away breaking balls. I guess most of his Ks were on fastballs in the zone, but he's just on over a foot over breaking balls in the other batter's box, routinely flailing towards the end of the season. The game logs from the Blue Jays series are abominable. No kidding. He needed surgery. So if he has to miss the, May to the end of the season recuperating from this surgery, fine. The Yankees set themselves up for disaster. It wouldn't have helped. Inserting Oswald Peraza wouldn't have helped. They would have had a similar level player in there every day because they did not get insurance for Volpe. They didn't get anybody to compete with him until they brought Caballero in, and then they had somebody who was a great solution. In an ideal world, Caballero is not a starter, but this is not an ideal world. He should have been your starter down the stretch as soon as he arrived, and he should be your starter next year with a caddy to begin the season. We'll see what they do. I agree. I don't know when you see Volpe, but it's very plainly not early, and he's going to have to play minor league baseball for an extended period of time to build his strength up. And while we're at it, you're not going to see Carlos Rodon to start the season either, which ultimately pitchers break down. That is what happens to pitchers. You cannot expect to make it through a season with your whole rotation intact. Half your rotation intact is also a stretch. Happened last year. They lose Schmidt, Cole, Heel and Cole before the season even starts. Schmidt was also a slow build, so they lose him to Tommy John midseason, but he did suffer injuries before then. They left him back in Florida, and Carlos Carrasco was in the rotation. So things happen in the rotation. I'd much rather Carlos Rodon get a procedure done now than do it in February, March, April, beginning of the year, or God forbid, at the All-Star break. He got a bone chip shaved down in his left elbow. He'll be an 8-week no-throw. That explains the velocity dip in his final 4 starts and his poor exit, which was arguably his worst start of the entire year in Game 3 of the Toronto series, the game where the Yankees came back and erased the deficit. So we all kind of forgot that Carlos Rodon was throwing up meatballs. I am pro Carlos Rodon. Again, the playoff resume not quite there, but the regular season, he's one of the best lefties in baseball. I will take him. Good contract. Should have done more. Good contract. He will not be in the opening day rotation. When he returns is anybody's guess. I don't know if he's going to start the year building back up, ready to come back the third time through the rotation in mid-April, or if it's going to be closer to early May, mid-May. I don't think starting pitching is a weakness. I think the Yankees can get past this speed bump. And I guess now is when I would rather find out that he needed surprise surgery. And it explains some of his late season struggles. But still, how many teams start off the offseason with a press conference where the manager and GM can't get aligned on whether the starting shortstop was too injured to play or not injured enough to play or just sucky on his own? And then after having that back and forth, they're like, and also our number 2 starter had bone chips and you're not going to see him for a while. This doesn't happen to most teams, right? Like you would know you're waiting for an update on an injury. Like they told me Aaron Judge doesn't need elbow surgery, knock on wood. I hope that's true. But I was waiting for that. I knew he was injured. I knew they were going to confront something there. I didn't know Rodon was injured. There was no hint of it. Thank you.
Really tough. And look, am I being too harsh? I don't know if we can't call the starting pitching a weakness. because of what just happened in that Blue Jays series. I'm not saying it's bad, but like
it's a playoff weakness. You ended up with one guy at the end of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, your most reliable pitcher was a man who made 14 starts in his career.
Yeah.
At that point. So like, and look, I'm not discounting what Max Fried did in the wild card series either. That was arguably his best start of the year, pound for pound, when you consider all factors. Carlos Rodon held his own against the Red Sox, so there's no complaining about that. But the bigger series in terms of the team that was better than you all year and the team that actually like the Yankees ended up getting the best of the Red Sox with that, with how they ended the year in Fenway. And I understand they ended up taking 2 out of 3 against the Blue Jays too, but their biggest problem of the year was at Rogers Center.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not solve that at all. Even in yesterday's press conference, Brian Cashman's excuse was just, yeah, they had our number all year. And that's where I get frustrated because it's like, dude, this was a last place team in 2024. They were bad. They have the same essentially personnel as they did last year with, some exceptions. They got lucky with Shane Bieber. It was a shrewd trade deadline move. Trey Savage came up, but like canceled that out with Schlittler. Like it's a net negative, or it's a net whatever you want to call it. They ended up getting, they got better years from a few of their other guys, but so did the Yankees. Like the Yankees got a 30-30 season from Jazz. They got a 34 home run year from Trent Grisham. They picked up Cody Bellinger. They had Ben Rice come out of nowhere and be an X factor. They had Giancarlo Stanton as one of the hottest hitters in the league for a month period. So the Yankees had their struggles, right? The bullpen was terrible. Austin Wells was really bad. Anthony Volpe was bad, and there was the overall lack of consistency with the pitching as a whole in terms of them being on the same page in that middle 3-month stretch. But to sit up there at the end of the year and say, "Oh, the Blue Jays just had our number," and to not look at the fact that they were in last place the year prior. You have had their number every other year that they have been on this earth in the modern era. So like this year is just, oh yeah, it was just one of those years where they had us and there was no solving it. It's just confusing to me. And you go back to the starting pitching, and the starting pitching especially struggled at the Rogers Center during the regular season. And then games 1 and 2 happen in the DS, and you're just like, what the hell, man?
How was the starting pitching in those games? I don't remember. Was it good?
Heel was actually fine.
Oh yeah,
Heel was fine.
Well, he's in the bullpen, and we already moved him to the bullpen.
Yeah, so. He's projected in the bullpen for 2026 now after winning Rookie of the Year. Yeah. But Heel was fine. That was mostly, I think, Game 1 was a symptom of the Yankees again. The bats going quiet, but Max Fried's egregious outing can't happen, and that's really what that's really what made a difference in this entire series. The Blue Jays knew they were rolling after that, and then you have Carlos Rodon in the Game 4. And Carlos Rodon in Game 3, and he puts up a stinker there, and the bullpen gets overused again, and then it's all on Cam Schlittler in Game 4 to pick up the pieces and make sure that he bends and doesn't break, and he did an excellent job, but like it wasn't enough because the Yankees needed more from that, and the more that they should have been getting was from Rodon and Fried. So Rodon, I guess, has an excuse because there was something wrong with his elbow. It was impressive that he managed to pitch as well as he did that long with that injury. But like Max Fried this is not really different for Max Fried, by the way, folks. You look at Max Fried's playoff numbers outside of like bits and pieces of that World Series run with the Braves. He's been really bad in the postseason, and he went about 2.25 months with the Yankees this year where he had a 6+ ERA. So I like Max Fried a lot, but you have Garrett Cole coming off Tommy John. He's going to be back in May, maybe. You will not see him unleashed until beginning of July, if that. You have Carlos Rodon probably delayed until May of this year, I would predict. Clarke Schmidt might come back in August. You have a first full season of Cam Schlittler, which is both great and scary because he's, 1, never had that workload before, and 2, I want to see him unleashed because it's exciting. You have Luis Heel, who were already predicted throwing in the bullpen for whatever reason. And you have Will Warren, who I think was solid, but like unspectacular. I think a good guy to have as your number 5, but like someone you're never throwing in a playoff series, as we saw in game 2.
Yeah, why? What did he do in that game?
Yeah.
How did he look? Sharp.
Bad spot to put him in. Not right by Aaron Boone, but
Tough
like
spot.
couldn't have executed worse. So I don't know if we can avoid calling the pitching staff a weakness, because the rotation was overworked. The injuries are here. And I don't know how much we can lean on Max Fried as the guy. And I think that the Yankees kind of knew that. They brought him in as a luxury addition, and they had to lean on him in the playoffs, and they kind of got burned for it. And it was supposed to be Garrett Cole and then Max Fried and then Carlos Rodon, or however, which way they wanted to maneuver it with both of those lefties. But I'm just not so sure. I'm really not so sure. And again, the pitching overachieves every year. They overachieved in the beginning of this year. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's great. Like when you overachieve, it's a good thing. I'm not saying, oh, these guys are walking around overachievers. No, they kept us. If they didn't do what they did in the beginning of the year, we're having a different conversation at the end of the season because of what they did in those middle 3 months. But in terms of start to finish, there are holes, there are problems. I just don't know. And dropping this bomb on us again at the end of the year. Oh yeah, like he was pitching with a bone spur and bone chips, and it's like, all right, I don't know. I don't know what you do in that scenario, but the fact that it was secret and like there was never anything to come out on it just has you wondering about other stuff. As always, you're always wondering about stuff that you shouldn't be wondering about, and that's the problem with this team.
There were some heroes, or Schlittler stabilized them. Devin Williams late season, David Bednar. Like there were definitely some reasons they made the postseason relatively comfortably instead of falling entirely out of the bracket, which was not just a possibility, but I would say a probability in the series where the Rangers were inching close to knocking them out of the postseason in early August. But they came through when they needed to in September. They gave us a reason to believe that October would look different than the entire regular season. And then it didn't, because the Toronto Blue Jays, like Brian Cashman said, had their number all year. That's a problem. Like you can't have a team in your division that has similar personnel to the previous iterations all of a sudden get your number year over year, and you just can't figure it out or solve it, and nothing you do helps. And by the way, you don't do all that much to figure out why that's happening to you. Anyway, he's right. It was a problem. He's also bothering me by noting that it was an unsolved problem for the duration of the entire season. And I don't think, I don't like the market much. So I feel like you're going to have to bring in impact relievers this offseason. 2, 3,
there's no question.
2, 3, not 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, not 1, 2, right? The more, the merrier. Rotation, you just need your rotation to be a strength by midseason.
Yep.
And you need a guy like Merrill Kelly or Jose Quintana to be able to eat innings early instead of just turning to the kids. The kids are nice, but you're going to need some sort of veteran who is a 3.5 to 4 ERA guy who can be Marcus Stroman at his best in April, May, and for half of June, and then you don't have to pitch him in the playoffs. I think Merrill Kelly's a higher ceiling than that. I think Jose Quintana's right around that ceiling at this point. Just bring in somebody. That's all I ask, because you're going to need the rotation to be nails, and you're going to need the bullpen to be excellent. I mean, because the offense is going to lose Grisham and maybe also Bellinger. Aaron Judge is going to not be this level of Aaron Judge at some point. Stanton, Ben Rice, like, are there steps forward, or are they regular? Like, Stanton's been a postseason player his whole life. Wasn't this year. Is Jazz going to be a postseason player? Is Ben Rice going to be a postseason player? Or am I just going to be seeing a lot of regular season players and it's the same old, same old? I think the Yankees have enough to get through the regular season. I think the key to the postseason is the rotation of bullpen being that exceptional that if there are 3 or 4 key offensive contributors that decide they're not postseason players, they can still survive and win 3-1 games or 5-1 games. Just get some clutch hits, get some depth. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing Ahmed Rosario back, or an Ahmed Rosario type. I argued for Rob Refsnyder on the site.
Sure.
I still don't know why you wouldn't do that. He made like $2 million last year and hits 300 with an 800 OPS against lefties. Great. Jason Dominguez, you play against righties. Rob Refsnyder, you play against lefties. It's the little pieces like that the New York Yankees need. We'll see if they actually get them. But until we know what the roster looks like, I know the pitchers that we do have to be upper crust versions of themselves for this team to have a chance to be better than it was last year, because I just don't know what the offense is going to do if it's comprised of similar personnel when the lights are bright. And it does sound like Grisham and Bellinger know One of them's gone. And the way they talk about Jason Dominguez, you don't know if they talk about Spencer Jones like he's a guy who has a chance to be on this team next year. That sounded like a Caleb Durbin quote to me, like, hey, we're going to, give him every opportunity. Well, he's earned the right or whatever. Caleb Durbin has earned the right too. They talked him up a ton and then they traded him for Devin Williams. So I feel like they were talking up Spencer Jones, but I feel like Jason Dominguez's future is here, and they do. Next year he needs to play or he needs to be gone. And how does he play? Brian Cashman quote, I still really like his ceiling, but again, you've got to see where the winter takes you and what the roster looks like. I expect him to be a regular player for us, though. Does that, to you, forecast Bellinger Grisham's departure or an expectation that the winner is going to take them further away from Dominguez? Because you can read it both ways.
I think they're lying. Classic Yankees. I think that it could mean one of two things. Where am I leaning? I think they're lying. Because if they're saying Dominguez is going to get regular reps next year, and then Cashman is saying that Spencer Jones, he says we'll see what the offseason. I don't know what the offseason is going to hold for Spencer Jones. Like, he just laid waste to AA and then dominated AAA. Like, what's he going to do this offseason? Do cartwheels in the weight room, and you're going to, this guy's an outfielder, so we'll take him on board now. In terms of Dominguez, if Aaron Boone thinks he's getting regular reps in left field next year, that would mean he needs a complete defensive makeover, and he cannot play against left-handed pitching. He has to completely revamp his approach against left-handed pitching, whether that means he abandons the right side of the plate or he becomes better left on left. This is where I'm stuck, though, because I don't think the Yankees would trade him at his lowest value. I don't think he has much value, much like Volpe, much like Wells. I don't know what they would do. So that's my first convoluted response. Secondly, if they do actually believe he's going to get regular reps, then yes, one of Bellinger or Grisham is gone, because we just saw them abandon Dominguez when they lost the DH spot after Stanton came back. In June, his playing time gradually slipped, and then it fully fell off a cliff it started to fall off a cliff in August, and then it was gone in September. So, I don't know what the slow play is with Dominguez has been. It doesn't make sense now that you're going to move. You were non-committal toward him at the start of this year. Then he was playing, and he was playing okay, and you could spot his clear flaws, and it was like, oh, okay, so we should play him. The Yankees didn't think this, of course. All the fans were saying it. Okay, cool, play him as a platoon guy and utilize him against right-handed pitching, and this will be great, and utilize him as a weapon off the bench to pinch run or to give an at-bat against a right-handed reliever late in the game, and you have your formula. Instead, they just either played him every day or didn't play him at all. So it's one of those questions where, what are you doing? The Volpe question's in the complete opposite direction. Why is he playing every day when he is bad? He's a million times worse than Dominguez, and Dominguez was barely league average. And then Dominguez loses playing time solely because there's a logjam that you created yourself in the outfield, and then you opted to just leave shortstop blank. So again, what are we doing? But if they are truthful in that Dominguez is getting everyday reps, my best guess is that Grisham is gone, Bellinger returns, and then they could put Dominguez in center, see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, then Bellinger goes back to center and then can oscillate between center and left like he usually did. He could spell maybe Ben Rice at first base, depending on what happens there. And then if push comes to shove, maybe they do bring back an Ahmed Rosario and he plays some left field. Or maybe they find, again, my biggest thing with this team is approach. So I think Aaron Boone is right. I think Brian Cashman is right. It's a talented group of guys. They don't lack talent. They won 94 games or were one game away from winning the division against the Blue Jays team that had the year of their lives. All of those guys had the year of their lives. And we were right there. We were tied with them. We just lost the tiebreaker. Again, lost, didn't earn it, but one went away. It was right there. I think this group is talented. To me, it comes down to approach. You want to fill out the depth? Great. It's got to be with intention. I don't know if these guys exist. I really don't know if they exist. Jock Peterson, 2021. I don't know if that version's out there in free agency or via trade, but that is what the bench needs to be filled out with. The dynasty years were the dynasty years. They had future Hall of Famers and former All-Stars on the bench, like perennial All-Stars on the bench. That's not going to happen.
And so many switch hitters for matchup. Yeah. And also just everybody was scared of the Yankees brand still at that point. Yeah. So,
yeah. And look, I'm not asking for a 180 on this front where it's like, oh, let's just, do what the Dodgers do. It's too late. We missed that boat. But now it's like, okay, you got a taste of what you just did at this trade deadline, right? You upgraded with intention and you actually added meaningful parts of the roster. Caballero, great addition. Ryan McMahon, say what you want about his offense. The defense is tremendous. There's no arguing against it. There is value for that in the game. Some players are one-sided. You have to deal with it. Not every guy you're getting is going to be an all-around star. Ahmed Rosario, matchup nightmare for left-handed pitchers. Great.
Big
you
man.
Have a tool off the bench to utilize. I'm not saying all of these guys should be the ones that you choose, but there has to be other options out there. We'll do some more deeper dives on that as free agency gets closer and as the trade market starts to materialize. But that's the biggest difference for me, because if you have that flexibility, then you don't have to force Dominguez into playing 150 games when maybe he's probably best suited for 120. You don't have to play Anthony Volpe for 160 games when he's probably best suited for 120. And then playoff time, changing approach. Like, the biggest thing with the Yankees is, our process is good. We have a lot of talented guys. The numbers are there. Did you not see the numbers? Did you see Aaron Judge's numbers this year? Did you see Jazz Chisholm's numbers this year? Did you see Cody Bellinger's numbers this year? They're all great. They're all amazing. So we should do fine when the postseason comes. No, because Aaron Judge took 7 years to revamp his approach in the postseason. We just saw it. It was great. I think it's a jumping off point for years to come. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he's got 3-4 more years of his absolute prime left before the decline begins.
But we shouldn't care about that, though. You don't need to think about maximizing his prime.
No, you can't. You simply can't.
Yeah.
Bellinger, I think, just bad luck. He was the only person on this team all year that changed his approach in runners in scoring position situations and in 2-strike situations. Jazz didn't change his approach whatsoever. It was as it was as clear as day when he was taking at bats in the postseason that there was no flip that was switched from September to October, and that's the difference. You need guys like that. Giancarlo Stanton, again, bad luck. He usually does. I don't know what his formula is. He didn't do it this year. Whatever. Ben Rice, learning opportunity in this year's postseason. Hit that home run. That was excellent. Fell off a cliff. He's got to learn from that. He's got to figure it out. But the Yankees, if they want to get talented players, I think, again, they have talented players. It's about honing that talent, putting that talent in the best position to succeed, and giving yourself enough flexibility with approach guys off the bench that can change the look of your team. And I just am not sure the Yankees are succeeding in all those facets over this Aaron Judge window.
Jason Dominguez, totally fine year, all things considered. Tough defense, 101 OPS plus, 22 years old. I would like to see more of him moving forward, but if the Yankees don't, okay, move on. Then you do Kyle Tucker Bellinger, but I would open that door. We need to find pieces who can complement these stars in October and who do not disappear in the same fashion as the ones that we ran into the postseason lineup this year. I agree with Aaron Boone. Like you said, I agree with you that this is one of the more talented teams that he has ever managed, if not the most talented, except for the bullpen, which was abject garbage and cost them 5, 6, 7 wins this year. Yeah, they stole a few, but I think it's safe to say 97, 98 win team, like just median outcome with the way that they played. It just gave them a better bullpen. And that's what you would have seen. You might've seen a different fate this October, or you might have seen them go down in the same way that the 97-win Brewers have gone down. Either way, they're missing the secret sauce. They faced off against the Dodgers last year, with just 2 losses in the postseason on their ledger, and they were not on the same playing field. The Dodgers put pressure on the Yankees. The Yankees buckled. This year, they got past the Red Sox, we agreed might be the toughest test of the whole postseason in a shortened series. That was amazing. Then they faced another test, and because of their regular season, they had to start that test on the road. And because of that regular season, the Blue Jays had their number again and ran them over with a tractor. And then Game 4 was one of the most classic Yankees playoff losses you'll ever see. But without Games 1 and 2, you don't notice Game 4 so much. Hey, maybe you sweep. You probably don't. But you're probably going 5. Maybe you're playing that game at home, but you're not. You're done playing. They were very talented this year. That's what makes the bullpen being terrible so frustrating. That's what makes the way they crashed out of the playoffs so frustrating. And that's why I'm not so upset that the philosophy is not changing and that the people in charge are, confident in the ability of the team on the field. But I do need to see, because I like the philosophy midseason of let's get Ahmed Rosario, and let's get Austin Slater, and let's get Jose Caballero. Let's get people who do the little things. Let's get people who are matchup nightmares. It took a while to pivot, but I liked that. Austin Slater got hurt and he barely played and he was pointless. Ahmed Rosario was good, valuable. Jose Caballero was good, valuable. So let's attack the offseason with that mindset. And then I think you have a chance. Attack the offseason with the mindset where we're big game hunting. We're going to grab one star and then we're going to take the rest of the offseason to just sit and rest on our laurels. That's not going to work again, especially if the star is Cody Bellinger, who we've already seen and we already like, but wasn't enough this year and is losing 34 homers from Trent Grisham, is losing a lot of 99th percentile outcomes from last year. That's not going to work.
It certainly isn't. And again, got to get really creative. Brian Cashman has been capable of that at times. This offseason, it's going to be tough because it's another one of those top-heavy free agent classes, and then you're kind of sifting through the sludge, and you don't know who's going to be on the trade mark. Because, look, talk about Scooble all we want. I don't. Like, that's now making waves for all these teams. I'll believe it when I see it. Should the Yankees be involved? Yeah, of course.
Should the Tigers pay him what he's worth? Yes. Don't let him out of the building.
Yeah. I mean, agree that he should never leave. But if there is a chance, the Yankees need to be outbidding in some capacity the field, because they can't let the Dodgers get him. They can't let the Red Sox get him.
Can't let the Mets get him.
Yeah, can't let the Mets get him. So, at that point, what's your trade-off? Do you want to leverage the farm? Or do you want to leverage a farm and get a generational talent and potentially pay him a lot of money and then maybe trade one of the other bad contracts when the time comes? Or do you want one of your rivals to get him and then just keep getting pasted for the next 5 to 10 years? So I don't know. I'm not hitching my wagon to any of those blockbuster trades just yet. Let's give the offseason a few weeks. Everyone's getting a little bit ahead of themselves, but it's going to be a tough offseason for the Yankees to navigate. It's going to be a tough couple months of the 2026 season for the Yankees to navigate with the talent that they're going to be down. And again, the messaging after this end of season press conference, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure I'm too confident, but we'll be here. We'll be podcasting. We'll be writing.
Yep.
We'll be on top of it all. You'll hear from us. Don't you worry.
We're not going anywhere. We wish we could sometimes, but we're not. We're going to be here. We appreciate it. I'm glad the postmortem is over. Now we move on to the projections. We move on to Akamoto, Japan, perhaps. Hideki Matsui, deliver him to me. Again, when the Yankees make a major league signing, if they make a major league signing, major trade, we'll have some fun. We'll see Jake Bird. We'll get excited for spring training again, but I do think the ceiling, as of now, feels a little bit lowered. There's a little bit less uncertainty, weirdly, because plan B could have gone in so many different directions. Now we know what it feels like, but we also know it wasn't good enough. So join us throughout the offseason, into spring training, into the regular season. We'll be back sooner than Anthony Volpe. You can join us Monday and Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Yankees Go Yard podcast on your favorite podcast audio feed or on YouTube. Either way, it's when we're streaming live. Audio goes up afterwards. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib, Thomas Carranante. If they want to, which they sometimes do, where can people find you?
Every once in a while. You can find me at Tommy's_takes. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget it. Off-season's going to be long. We're going to be going live random times. You're never going to know. YanksGoYard.com is the place to be. Content galore for the next 3 months. It's going to be pretty awesome. A lot of rumors. It's going to be a buffet of content, if you will. And lastly, wish Adam a happy birthday. It's Adam's birthday. He's a nice guy. He responds to you guys on social media. I don't know why. I wouldn't.
You guys are in my some of you guys are in my Instagram DMs, just like asking.
Oh, they got you there. I love that.
It's like, but it's not. It used to be like hate mail, and it's like, all right, that's the internet. But now it's like, I know you probably don't want to talk about the offseason, but like, what do you think about Trent Grisham's qualifying offer? I'm like, enjoying spaghetti. I'll get to it when I get to it. It'll be on the podcast, but I do appreciate the messages.
Yeah. Send him a happy birthday message on Instagram so we can all live happily ever after. Yanks off season. officially here once this World Series, 5 days after the World Series when free agency starts. Head on over to yankeesyard.com. We'll have all the info there for you. And until then, Monday it is. See if there's anything that develops over the weekend. Enjoy yourselves, folks.
Imagine if something develops over the weekend.
Give me something.
Nate Pearson to the Astros today. I mean, can we get a drop like that for the Yankees? Just like a dribble, just like a little pea spurt, anything. I mean, Giants, Broncos, and like the tiniest Yankees move of all time. Stay tuned. You'll hear from us on Monday if that happens. When it happens, we'll be here. Until then, take care.